Greetings, family. Hello, this is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Friday, or as I like to say, Friday. So this is Friday, January the 20th, 2023, and the time is 11:30 a.m. I'm so glad to be back. Hello, good morning, grand rising, golden rising, gold risings, great risings. Happy Friday. I'm so excited to be back. I've been gone for a long time. It has been exactly 15 days or 2 weeks and one day since I've been away from YouTube because I was censored and I received a strike from YouTube for reporting on things that they didn't want you all to know about. So there were a few things they didn't want you to know about, and I have to be very careful with my words or else they will censor me. So they didn't want you to know about people who were dropping suddenly from the cure. They didn't want you to know about what the World Economic Forum had said about the P word. They said that it was natural and that it will help save humanity. So I reported about that 2 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, I didn't even get to report it. I just set a timer to discuss those things. And I guess when they ran the check, they noticed that I was going to be talking about certain things that they didn't want to, they didn't want you all to know. So, but I'm here today. I feel refreshed. I'm excited to be back. And we do have some things to talk about. While I was away, though, for those 2 weeks, I think I needed that time with my family because, hello, I have an auntie who helped to raise me, who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And she had actually gone into a coma, but by the grace of God, she had awakened from the coma, left the hospital, came home, and was able to talk, to eat, and talk to us about that experience. I'm glad to be back. And she said that while she was in a coma, her life passed before her. So she knew that she had actually left her body, her physical body. And she was able to see things from her childhood, things that she had forgotten, but then the creator, the almighty, the source brought her back. So she's home with us, actually in Cleveland, Ohio. That is my home where I was born and raised. So both my mom's side and my dad's side live in Cleveland, Ohio. But as you all probably know, back in the day, if your parents were overwhelmed, they could just take you over to your grandma's house. So a lot of our cousins, my siblings and my cousins were raised in my grandmother's house with my aunts and uncles. And some of them were just a few years older than I. So my auntie, who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, is only about 6 or 7 years older than I. So she's a sister aunt. So people from all over the country flew back into Cleveland, Ohio, Great Rising, to spend time with my auntie. And my auntie now, like, her faculties are back. She's eating, she's drinking, she's talking. And I get teared up because when you think about how good the creator is to give you a second chance to come back and see your family members, and just having grown up with her as a child, to be able to say, Auntie, thank you face to face for helping to raise us when our parents were having a difficult time, because my mom was 15 when she had me and my dad was 17. So they had a very difficult time. And when they dropped us off to my grandma's house on my father's side, my paternal grandmother, who was such a loving woman, we called her Dear, Mother Dear, and Dear for short. Um, Mother Dear just brought us all of her grandchildren in the house and raised us with her children. So all my aunts and uncles were there, all of my cousins were there, my brother, and family from both sides. They all came together to love on my auntie and to just spend time with one another. So I think, although I was censored from YouTube and I missed you all so much and I was upset and sad, it gave me the opportunity to focus on family, to love on my cousins, because my cousins and I call each other cousin brother and cousin sister because we all grew up in the same house together. So thank you. I'm happy to be back. The creator again spared the life of my auntie and enabled us to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and to love on her and buy her food and some of her favorite snacks. And it was just a wonderful experience. So welcome back. Happy Friday. We do have some good news, some breaking news, and some pretty disturbing news as well. I know so much has gone on since I've been gone, but you all have been emailing me, texting me, calling me, and just keeping me up to date and also checking in on me. So thank you. Namaste. We're going to talk about some very, very wonderful things going on. So I'll try not to keep you all too long, but we're going to talk about how the United States has reached its debt ceiling or its debt limit. That's breaking news. And not just that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how people are saying they're missing money out of their bank accounts, namely Bank of America, all over the country. We're going to talk about that. We're going to also discuss the bank closures. We're going to discuss why I believe the planes were grounded. Mind you, I was traveling at the time the planes were grounded. Flights were being canceled and delayed and rescheduled. And oh my God, I spent one day, I was at the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I missed the flight because of all the technicalities. The computer system wasn't working, allegedly. I was there all day at the airport until late that night, like 11 o'clock at night. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of people. So we're going to talk about why I believe those planes were grounded. We're going to talk about stock market crash predictions. It's not just Dr. Kia Pruitt now, it's economists predicting it. We're going to talk about how the Dow plummeted the other day. And also how Andy Schechtman and I spoke about bank bail-ins a few months ago. And then we're going to talk about gold and silver predictions. And then finally, we're going to discuss how gold and silver is actually right now, as we are speaking, increasing. So they were suppressing the prices, but they can only do that for so long. So those are like, what, 8 or 9 points that we're going to cover today. So I promise I won't keep you too long. I'm just so happy to be back. 2 of your contractors have told you about the bank accounts mysteriously missing money. Isn't that crazy? But we've been saying that this could happen when you think about bank bail-ins. So good morning, Soul Family, Grand Rising. I like to say Gold Rising, Great Rising. Let's see, Happy New Day, Happy Friday. It has been exactly 2 weeks, 2 weeks that they censored me. 2 weeks. It was so hard because I kept looking at all the news. And then finally I said, you know what? I'm going to take a break from the news and I'm going to focus on family. So what is the breaking news? As of yesterday, Thursday, January the 19th, the United States has reached a debt limit of $31 trillion. That's crazy. This made mainstream news, okay? Because this has never happened throughout history. Oh, but they said they have a plan. They have a plan to deal with this debt crisis. And guess what that plan includes? That plan includes dipping into your retirement accounts and my retirement account, according to what Janet Yellen and people over in the Federal Reserve is saying. So they've reached the debt ceiling and they said that they're going to take extreme measures by dipping into the retirement accounts of postal workers and other government workers. Oh, but they said, after that's settled, they'll make your accounts whole. Okay, so let's listen to what they're saying. Yeah, I have been censored. Yes. Hi, April Yarborough. So I want you to hear this for yourself. Okay, it's only maybe a 2-minute clip, and I'm a little rusty because I've been away for a long time, but be encouraged, because although they say that the United States has reached a debt limit of $31 trillion as of yesterday, and this is breaking news, and they have some nefarious ideas about how they're going to, settle the debts. I'll go at the end of that report. or towards the middle of the report, I'll tell you how we can protect ourselves against the madness. Okay. But first, let's hear this. I hope you all can get a hold of this news here. I'm going to share a screen and hopefully you can hear this. Them talk about this breaking news. The United States reached the debt ceiling of $31 trillion. Oh, I see I got something here. Here we go. Yep, this is it. Family, this is crazy. Hold on 1 minute. Hopefully you can see that. Put a 1 in the chat to let me know that you can hear this, okay? Hold on, because I have to push pause. I have to mute it, I think.
Who you see right there at the White House, we do have breaking news on the debt limit. Kayla, what do we know?
Well, Scott, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen just wrote a letter to leaders in Congress saying that beginning next Thursday, January 19th, the United States will be reaching its statutory debt limit of just more than $31 trillion, at which point it will have to start taking what it calls extraordinary measures to conserve capital at the federal governmental level to avoid a default on debt. To do that, Treasury is going to be withholding some investments from retirement funds for postal service workers as well as other federal government employees. And Secretary Yellen says that as soon as any such deal on the debt ceiling is reached, that those investment accounts will be made whole. A senior administration official tells me that the White House believes that negotiations on a potential debt ceiling deal would begin in earnest after the tax season deadline in mid-April, at which point Treasury will know exactly what tax receipts have come in, what revenue looks like, and exactly how much time will be left on the clock, at which point they'll be able to begin negotiations with Republicans in Congress about exactly how a deal could come together. Secretary Yellen says that the U.S. will be able to maintain these extraordinary measures until about early June. We'll see how that goalpost moves in the coming months.
So you all heard that? That's crazy. So according to this report, the United States has reached a debt limit of 31 trillion, but King Jaquin is saying it's actually 94 trillion. That's crazy. Oh my God. So what do you say? Show the US debt clock.org. Okay, I'll do that. So what did they say they were due in order to remedy that? They said that they'll have to take extraordinary measures. And what those extraordinary measures include was withholding some investments from retirement from funds from United States postal workers and other government workers. But they said, oh, that's okay, because we'll restore the money back to you once the accounts have been made whole. So I wanted to bring that to you just so you can know what's been going on. This is breaking news. The debt limit was reached as of yesterday, January the 19th, 2023. Now, this is coming on the heels of many people from all over the world reporting that their bank accounts from Bank of America was empty, or that they had several hundreds or thousands of dollars missing all over the country. So I'll let you listen to at least one report, and then I'll look at the United States debt clock. Since somebody asked me, who was that? Somebody asked me to show that. Yes, I will. Hold on. Let me show you how Bank of America customers are saying that they went to their banks and money is missing. They called customer service. Nobody will answer, and nobody would give them any type of solutions for why their money is missing. This is crazy. We are living in unprecedented times. And so when you live in unprecedented times or extraordinary times, you and I have to take extraordinary measures. So we'll get to that. So let's look at this report. I don't know if you all had heard about this. We're going to listen to someone talk about how their money is missing. Let me see where that is. What I'll do before we do that is I'll show you an article. So here's an article. This is an article right here. There you go. So Bank of America issues. Some customers report money missing from their accounts. This was in Chicago. Some Bank of America customers said money is missing from their accounts, including funds from Zelle deposits and transactions. Ray Garcia has trusted Bank of America with his money for 20 years. But when he noticed the problem happening to other people, he went to check his own accounts. I was surprised, like, whoa, Garcia said. So I checked my transactions. I had like 15 different Zelle transactions. That was like a red flag for me right there because I don't remember doing all that in one day, he said. He says almost 700 went missing from his account and he called customer service with no luck getting a representative. He told ABC 13 that he had pending transactions scheduled to come out Thursday for his bills. I'm going to have to go in there and dig into my savings accounts, which I don't want to use, but these bills have to get paid. You know what I mean? He said. And a Bank of America spokesperson told ABC 7 San Francisco that the problem has been resolved and the deposits transferred are starting to appear in customers' accounts. Wednesday morning, many customers took to their social media platforms to express frustration and try to find answers. What's going on over there? Accounts are overdrawn, one Twitter user stated. So this was just an article that was shared with me, but I want to let you hear somebody for themselves talk about it. They tried to blame Zelle. But somebody is saying Zelle is a part of the QFS system, so Zelle wasn't really the problem. So we don't know what's going on. Zelle is not like that. It's okay. So perhaps it wasn't Zelle's fault. Maybe they're just blaming Zelle in order to, oh, thank you, Metroid, in order to, take the blame off them. Metroid is a homeboy. He's from a home man. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. So I was just telling them, Metroid, that I was just in Cleveland, Ohio, and that many flights were still grounded. So yeah, they tried to blame Zelle. And thank you, Metroid, because you sent me this one video that I am going to try to share if I can. 1 second, family. Let me see if this will show.
Everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to see. Let me see if I can let you hear for yourself what somebody said about missing money from their Bank America accounts. And then we'll talk about why we think this is happening. Yes. Somebody said, thank you so much. She's in recovery. Oh, you grew up in Euclid. I was just on Euclid. Thank you so much. So let's listen to this, family. Hold on. I hope I can pull this up from my, here we go. I hope I can pull this up. It's downloaded.
Everybody's missing money.
Hold on.
I'm also missing
I hope
money.
you all can see. Hold on. I want you to hear this for yourselves. I don't know how to bring it up. Let's see. Let me see if I can bring this up so that you can hear it. So basically what they're saying is everybody is missing money. And they're talking. So the guy is actually in a branch and he's asking other people who are in there, can you verify that you're missing money as well? Hold on, let's share the screen. I hope I can get this up. I had to send it to my Gmail account. And hopefully you all can hear this. It's just something about hearing it for yourself. Hold on. Here we go.
Everybody's missing money.
So you might not be able to see it, but I want you to hear it, okay? Hold on 1 minute. I'm just going to let you hear it because I'm not able to share the screen for some reason. I'm going to let you hear it. Hold on 1 minute. Here it is.
Everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service.
Hold on. Okay. I'm going to try to share it on the screen. I apologize for this. I'm doing my best. It's going down, family. Okay. So here we go. Thank you, Metroid, for sending this to me. I appreciate it. Here we go. I'm going to try it one more time. It is on. Yes, here we go. Okay. Please type 1 in the chat if you can hear it. I'm going to mute it right now so that you can hear what they're saying. 1 second. Hold on, let me see.
And everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over 30.
Can you hear?
And everybody's missing.
So imagine going to the bank and you're not able. Oh, you can't hear? Can you hear now? Can you hear? Oh, shit. Can you hear now? Can hear, but not the recording. Really? So you can hear me now, right? You can hear. So you couldn't hear the you didn't hear the recording. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to put that link in the description section of the video. So what they said was, you said, don't click the mute button. Oh, don't click the mute button. Okay, I'll try it again then. Hold on. Let's add it to the stream. And I will not click the mute button. And tell me if you can hear it.
And everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service. And they keep hanging up on people. This is another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today, and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service. And customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know, because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account, and they're telling me that there is no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you're missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that just one person, this is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent. And we're asking what's going on, and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody's for the same thing now. Same thing.
So yeah, people, I'm so glad you can hear. Thank you for helping me out. So yeah, people went to Bank of America to find out what was going on, but nobody could help them. And when they called customer service, nobody could help them. So what is going on with people's accounts? Now, we've been saying for a long time that when banks get in trouble and they can't pay their bills, historically, they will have what's called a banking bailout. And that is when the United States government will pay or offset the debt or give the banks the money that they need in order to settle their debts. And that we saw happen under President Obama in 2008. However, as we reported at the beginning of this news broadcast, The United States government has no money. They are trillions of dollars in debt, and they've reached the debt limit as of yesterday, January the 19th. So there will be no more bank bailouts. Do you remember? Oh my God, Andy Schectman and I have been saying this for a while. Now, 3 weeks ago, I reposted a video that he and I had of an interview that he and I had done actually a couple months ago, whereby we talked about bank bailouts versus bail-ins. So when the United States government has no money to help the banks, what they do then is called a bank bail-in, which means they will take money out of your account and my account to get themselves out of trouble. That's a banking bail-in versus a banking bail-out. So in this broadcast or this interview that I did with Andy Schectman is the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. I asked him, is it likely or possible that we could have a banking bail-in? And he said, not only is it possible, but it's legal. Isn't that crazy? It's legal, family. And we just heard the news report say that the United States government is saying they might have to dip into the retirement account of postal workers and government workers in order to take care of the debt. So listen to this very short clip of Andy Schectman explaining how this is possible. And the reason why I'm bringing these receipts, as they say, is because it's one thing for me to report it, but it's another thing when you actually hear experts saying that this is a possibility. So this is Andy Schectman. Andy Schectman is the CEO or the Chief Executive Officer of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. This company is a company that he started with his dad. His dad actually started it when he was younger, but Andy took over at the age of 19. So he's been in business for about 33 years. He has had an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, never had a complaint. He is one of the only authorized dealers who can resell products from the United States Mint, which is a very prestigious accomplishment. But listen to what he says. He is also approaching 8 billion, by now is $9 billion of sales in precious metals. But listen what he says when I ask him this very critical question. Can banks steal your money or take or borrow your money from your retirement accounts? By the way, if you want to go get a gold IRA, you can contact Andy Schectman. But listen to what he says when I asked him this question. If you want to see this video, it is on my Dr. Kia Pruitt YouTube channel. Yes, legal under their federal rules. Thank you for saying that. But legal and lawful are two different things. Legal under their federal rules mean that they can do it according to their legalities, their statutes and codes, but it's not lawful according to the United States Constitution in our republic. So you can find this on my YouTube channel, family. And it is called Alert: Dozens of Countries Abandon the United States Dollar and Join BRICS. And this Andy Schectman. So I want you to look at where to go. I'm going to show you the minute mark that you need to go. You need to go to the 35-minute mark. Right here I have 34.59, but you can go to the 35-minute mark. And you can hear what he says about bank bail-ins, okay? I think I need to mute it, right? So I think I do need to mute it so you can hear this one. So let me know. I'm going to mute it, and then let me know. Put one in the chat if you can hear it, okay? And if you can't, let me know you cannot hear it. Here we go. 35-minute mark. This is what Andy Schectman says. Hold on.
I guess I would say unconventional times, Kia call for unconventional thought and action, and looking at global. gold and silver as an investment is not the right way. Look at it as wealth. And I think it becomes easier to understand why to own it.
And a final question I have for you is about you mentioned protecting your assets. People have asked me to ask you, would it be wise for them to take their money out of the banks? Because historically, banks have gotten in trouble when there was an issue with the USD losing value, and we had bank bailouts. Well, now there is some discussion about bank bail-ins, where the bank may take your. So you all can't. Could you hear it or not? What I did was I muted it. Thank you so much, Liberty. Always. You can. Could you hear it? Okay, you could hear it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to go to the 35-minute mark. Okay. So hopefully you can hear it. Hold on. Let me go to the 35-minute mark. 35. Okay, here we go. Now, let me know if you can hear it, please. Here we go.
So they know everything about nothing. They are singularly mindset focused into the road to retirement is paved only with mutual funds and stock certificates. So I guess I would say unconventional times, call for unconventional thought and action. And looking at gold and silver as an investment is not the right way. Look at it as wealth. And I think it becomes easier to understand why to own it.
And a final question I have for you is about you mentioned protecting your assets. People have asked me to ask you, would it be wise for them to take their money out of the banks? Because historically, banks have gotten in trouble when there was an issue with the USD losing value, and we had bank bailouts. Well, now there's some discussion about bank bail-ins, where the bank may take your money and protect themselves. So how do I answer that question? Should they take? I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, but I just don't know how I should approach that question.
Well, calling it some discussion, I don't think does it justice. In 2008, after the great financial crisis, the banks in 2009 wrote into law bail-in legislation. So when we as taxpayers had to bail out the banks, it became illegal. They said, we can't do that anymore. It's not the responsibility of the taxpayers. But what will happen is that we will enact bail-in legislation, which is in essence bankruptcy law. So if you have money in a bank over the FDIC limit, I don't know what limit they'll choose. I think in Cyprus, when they did this, it was 100,000. But let's just say you have over FDIC, let's say you have $500,000 in the bank, and the FDIC limit, which is a scam in and of itself, they're woefully underfunded. But let's just say they say anyway.
So some of you saying that you could hear it, some of you saying that you could not hear it. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to put that into the description section, that video. Can you hear me now? So I will put it, if you want me to replay it, I will. You have to let me know. But I want to put it in the description section so that you can see it for yourself. It was playing fine for you. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing it. Basically, what Andy Schectman said was, not only is it possible, not only is it likely that they will take your money out of the bank to bail themselves out or do a banking bail-in, but it is law. They made it a law or a legality in 2008, 08, 09, when Obama was president, that no longer did they have to do bank bailouts, but they could do bank bail-ins. So what's the remedy? What is the remedy if they're saying outright that their laws, according to their statutes and code, has made it so that they can take your money out of your accounts, your savings accounts, and your retirement to get themselves out of trouble. This is a law, and they blatantly said it. I showed you that at the beginning of the report, that this is what they're going to have to do, since they've reached the debt limit of what they reported was $31 trillion. But one of our brothers here in our Soul family member said the debt is actually $95 trillion. What is the remedy? Well, I can only tell you that we're living in unprecedented times. And even Andy said, when they do certain things, that you're living in unprecedented times, a safe haven is actually gold and silver, because gold and silver are wealth. You can take your money out of the bank. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, But the financial advisors, the contemporary financial advisors that we have right now, they are trained to talk to you about stocks, bonds, investing in their system. Okay, but that's dangerous when you have reports that are telling you that the stock market is going to crash. Look at this. Receipts. I'm going to show you this. Look at this. This is what happened just the other day. The Dow plummeted 600 points as Fed officials say more rate hikes are needed to keep pulling inflation down. So the Dow just plunged 600 points yesterday. That was a day ago. When you have reports like that, there's some cognitive dissonance, as they would say, when I hear contemporary financial advisors tell me that the best way to protect my assets or the best way to gain wealth is to invest in the stock market. Now, let me show you another prediction. Well, that wasn't even a prediction. That is what happened. I'm going to show you a prediction. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. A stock market crash is imminent. I'm going to get to this article, family. But if you remember me telling you from September of last year, I said September the 25th, it was Rosh Hashanah, which is the Hebrew New Year. I said this is also the beginning of the Shemitah, which I call Shemitah, but that's not my Hebrew is not my native tongue. So when Andy Sheckman and I was speaking, he called it Shemitah. So when this is the Shemitah year. Okay, the Shemitah year is the end of a 7-year cycle. So when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, and they went, which was slavery, and they went into the promised land, God told them to count a cycle of 7 years. And on the 7th year, you were supposed to have a celebration called Shemitah. Shemitah means let go or release. So that was our year of release. I grew up in the Hebrew tradition. That was our year of release or our year of letting go. So any person that owes you debts, or any person that's in arrears, or any slave had to be let go on that 7th year, at the end of that 7th-year cycle. Historically, what has happened during the Shemitah, the end of the 7th-year cycle on that 7th year, is that these nefarious beings, instead of letting us go and releasing us, they have crashed the stock market. They have made us have anguish. They have made us lose our money. So when you understand history or overstand history and you study, then you know what's going to happen in the future, because what they say, future proves past. You just look at what happened in the past and you're able to predict what's going to happen in the future. So Jonathan Cahn, I think his name, wrote a book called The Harbinger, also explaining this. Now, I know it because I grew up Hebrew, but so we're in that 7th-year cycle, and I reported that September 25th, which was actually the Hebrew New Year or Rosh Hashanah, that this is going to happen. So look at what they're saying now about a stock market plunge. I'm showing you these articles just so that you can see. Oh, I already did that one. No, that's not the one I want, is it? Stock market crash. Here we go. A stock market crash and a Great Depression style economy are among the boldest forecasts for 2023. Why? Why is that a bold forecast, a prediction, foreknowledge, prophecy? Because they already know what happens at the end of every 7-year cycle. Instead of releasing us and let us go, they crash the system. So on some of my videos, what I had done in the past, and I'll also look for that and put it in the description section, I actually went all the way back to the beginning of the 1900s and counted every 7 year, and every 7th year, there was a stock market crash, there was a Great Depression, there was a housing market crash, or some type of crash, instead of a letting go or release. Now, the good news on our end is that we know about Nasara and Jasara, which will let us go and will offset the debt. But first, they have to crash this system, because at the end of every empire, they rack up the debt spend all the money, print as much money as they can, and then they implode the system. And after they do that, they then return to a sound monetary system, which is based on gold and silver. So I'll see if I can bring that article up for you just so you can get a little bit of what that article says. This was actually printed 17 days ago. Happy New Year, readers. This is the senior reporter, Phil Rosen. It's full speed ahead into 2023, and the first opening bail newsletter of the year is a doozy. He said he spent time scourging research notes and talking to experts over the last few weeks to see who had the boldest forecast for the new year. And let's see what they said. Over the last 12 months, volatility defined global markets. So he talks about, what happened in the ukulele, how the Federal Reserve became aggressive in increasing the rates or inflation, increasing the rates to deal with inflation. He talks about what happened with the S&P 500, how Tesla stocks had crashed, and so on and so forth. But he said, meanwhile, in commodities, consider gold. It currently is hovering around $18.26 an ounce. That was 17 days ago. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, family, because even your mainstream media reporters are saying, if you can look for these, if you can dig into some of these reports, some of them are saying the best thing to do is to rush to gold and silver as a safe haven. So they're predicting a stock market crash. They're telling you about bank closures. They're telling you that we're in dire times, that the United States has reached its debt ceiling. They're telling you that people are going to the banks and their money is missing. They're boldly telling you they're going to steal, I call it stealing, or borrow money from your retirement account. What is the best way to protect yourself? Yes, I am a precious metals enthusiast. Yes, I love gold and silver. Yes, I am an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. Yes, I know Andy Sheckman, the CEO. But I'm telling you that the reason why this is important is because even these advisors are saying, go to gold and silver because it maintains its value. This is a way to decentralize or to operate outside of the banks. When you hold gold and silver, you can preserve your money in precious metals because the government can't touch your gold and silver. They don't have to know how much you hold or where you store it. So I just wanted to tell you that typically, historically, financial advisors have said, invest in the stock market, get a CD, I think it's called a certificate of deposit, just save into retirement accounts, which is good advice. However, what do you do if the stock market is plunging? What do you do? Somebody says, call your husband. Okay, if you have late charges, Vicky says, call her husband. He worked his behind off his car and they refused to give him the title. So they called 4 or 5 times a day. He got laid off in December. She's talking to somebody. So start investing in gold and silver because banks are failing. Here, you want the receipts? You said you was only making 2 cents a month on your savings, so you didn't feel like you was losing anything. You started buying gold and silver. Absolutely. You just bought silver through Miles Franklin. Yes, they are awesome. So if you are interested in getting a gold IRA, a gold IRA, or interested in gold, rolling your fiat dollars into gold or silver, contact Miles Franklin. That's info, INFO at milesfranklin.com. And some people spell Miles differently. So the way you spell Miles is MILESFRANKLIN.com or Andy at milesfranklin.com. So what you do is you send an email to info at milesfranklin.com or Andy at milesfranklin.com, and you ask for a list of their inventory and prices. And you can ask somebody to call you or call you back or email you to answer any of your questions, but make sure you put your number in the email and they will give you that list of inventory and all the prices. And the reason why they do it this way is because if you put the prices online, which they're going to do, we're going to have an interactive website. If you put the prices online, they fluctuate, they change. And Andy is known for getting the best prices in the industry because of his relationship with wholesalers. When other people couldn't get product from wholesalers, Andy could because he and his father had been in business for over 30 years. So when you put the prices up and they fluctuate and you're trying to get people the best prices, it becomes an issue. So send them an email, let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, and you will get the best prices in the industry. And he has said that from his lips, and you can hear that on our interviews. But let me show you about banks that are failing family members. Remember, you can contact Andy Scheckman, info@milesfranklin.com or Andy@milesfranklin.com. And some of you know that he was very busy during the holiday season. You also know that, listen, the demand is going through the roof. And as the demand increases, there might become an issue with the supplies. So he's been extremely busy. Now, I have a personal broker that I have ordered directly from Andy. He's the CEO. We are so blessed over here to have a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company to care enough about us and promise us the best prices in the whole nation. Okay. But I also have a personal broker with Andy. So sometimes when he's too busy, I will just contact my broker. Some of you have told me, you've sent an email and some of you get a little anxious. So if you do want my personal broker, I will be happy to send you that information. So let me tell you about what's going on with the banks. He says banks have started changing their hours to closing at 12 a.m. I saw that in preparation for the enormous clients that are coming in to exchange their currencies. Yes, I saw that, Joe. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Kathy's our moderator. I'm so happy to be back. So let me show you what's going on. Thank you for being here, Kathy, with the Banks family. Now, this isn't to alarm you. This is to prepare you so that you can be proactive, because it's hard to prepare if you don't know what's going on. Let's see. Let's go to PNC Banks. PNC. This was in Best Life. Here is the title. PNC Banks closing 32 more branches in 10 states starting early next year. So two closures have already been confirmed for 2023, but they're saying 32 more branches will be closing. This is PNC. Even in the age of online banking, run to the bank is a pretty standard line on a to-do list. You ever have a to-do list? I know mine is run to the bank or go to PNC or stop by Wells Fargo. So if you need to deposit a larger check or pick up a new debit card, it's easier to actually go into the bank. You might prefer to use your ATM and avoid annoying transaction fees. But what they're saying is that, unfortunately, PNC Bank just announced that it will be closing 32 additional branches across 10 states. So I want to leave this list for you in the description section so that you can see all of those banks that are closing. Yes, I'm back and I'm happy to be back. Yes. Your sister's going to lose 180,000 when it crashes. And this is so disturbing, because when you try to warn people and tell them that a good way to protect their account is to roll over their fiat dollars into precious metals, they become nervous. They don't really understand precious metals. They still believe in a system. So it's kind of hard to convince them. But maybe when you share reports like this, maybe they'll awaken. Okay, so share the video, like and subscribe to the channel, because people have been telling me that they've been unsubscribed from my channel. But share the video and share the articles. More importantly, let me show you some of the other banks that are closing. This is crazy. Here is a complete list of all the banks that are closing. Here you go. Here's a full list. This is Yahoo News. So this was a full list of more than 200 banks that were supposed to close by the end of 2022. So again, this is a full list. It talks about banks in the UK, Barclays. Let's see, 226 banks are set to shut by the end of this year. That was 2022, taking the total number of closures to 325, family. So let me let you look at the title of this is Full List of More Than 200 Banks Closing by the End of Last Year. So what do you do when banks are closing, when banks are stealing your money? But we call it stealing, but when they create laws and legislation that allow them to take money out of your accounts, what do you do? What do you do when Janet Yellen said out of her lips that we have approached the debt ceiling as of yesterday, January 19th, and the best way to deal with that is to take extreme measures and dip into the retirement account of government workers in order to do bank bail-ins? What do you do? The best thing that I would say to do is not necessarily, invest in the stock market. I mean, if you do, just be very careful, but operate outside of the stock market. Decentralize your money, decentralize your food. You said plant the seeds of that and walk out and walk away is all we can do. Well, I'm not going to plant the seeds of doubt. Decentralize your life. Thank you, Lonnie. I'm happy to see you. Thank you. It's so good. It's always good to see you. Decentralize your money by investing in gold and silver, because although the prices have been manipulated and suppressed, family members' gold and silver is now increasing. So let me talk about that while I'm on the subject. This was going to be bullet point number 9. But if you look at the prices of gold and silver right now, gold is up to $1,935.80. That's up 0.16%. Silver is now $24.11, and that's up 0.42% from yesterday. So it's starting to rise, family. They can't keep suppressing the prices of precious metals. They can't, because according to experts, in order to pay the debt, we've reached the debt limit. We can't go any further. In order to pay the debt, in order to pay all the things that are on the books, like Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Social Security, and all the other debt, you have to revalue gold to $80,000, between $80,000 and $100,000 per ounce. You have to. I've done a report about that. But let me help you see what other people are saying about that. Shalom. Thank you. What's a safe and secure way to travel internationally with gold and silver? I would say to travel, when I was coming from Ghana, the way they would travel with gold and silver is to actually have it made into jewelry, and they would make it into jewelry. But large sums amount, you can contact Andy Sheckman, because he has relationships with places like Brinks in order to store your silver and gold in other places. I would contact him because he's been in the business for over 30 years, and he has a relationship with storage units. He has a relationship with wholesalers. He has a relationship with miners. So do me a favor and contact him, info@milesfranklin.com, and ask him that question. Have him or one of his brokers to call you to answer that question. That's a very good question. As a matter of fact, I will have him on hopefully next week, and I'll ask him that question directly for you. So let's look at what the prices are doing right now. And I'm sorry I'm jumping all over the place, but this is important. All of this news is important. Let's see how much they're saying gold and silver. So what I did was I typed in Google. Now, I've been listening to Bill Holter. I've been listening to David Mahoney. I've been listening to Andy Sheckman of Miles Franklin. I've been listening to First Majestic, the CEO of First Majestic, and other economists. I've been listening to all type of economists. Big Swear, who I believe he used to work for the stock market. Big Swear is somebody you want to follow from roadtoruta.com. And he has a YouTube channel, Road to Ruta. You need to follow him because he talks about the gold that's secretively stored in the Grand Canyon, the pyramids that are over there, the mummies, the treasuries, all type of things, because you all know that this is actually Egypt. So look, I typed in, could gold hit $80,000 per ounce, or gold could hit? And I did that after I had listened to a lot of economists, mainly economists who don't believe in the system. So what I've come to find out is that a lot of experts say that gold can go to 80,000 per ounce. See, look at these articles. Could gold really get to 80,000 per ounce? Yes, and here's how. Gold may hit 62,000, I think that's pounds, and silver 80,000 in 2023. Experts say gold could hit $100,000 soon, and here's how. Somebody talks about $80,000 gold. Gold has the potential to hit 3,000 in 2023. And these are experts that are weighing in on gold and silver prices increasing. So they have to revalue the gold in order to pay off the debt. And they have to revalue the gold in order to fund NASARA. So the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, which will offset all of our debt or pay off all of our debt so that we can have a debt jubilee. Remember, that is likely to happen right now, the year of the water rabbit. This is the Chinese New Year, which is also the year of the Shemitah, the year of release, the year of letting go. But in order to get there, you first have to do what they call a crack boom, crash this current economic system, and then revalue the gold and move to a sound monetary system based on silver and gold. So gold and silver will likely revalue very, very high. Share the cons to gold IRA transfer. What's the best approach? I'll ask Andy Schechtman, since he's the expert. I want to ask him that question when he comes on. Thank you for that. The cons of transferring a gold into a gold IRA historically may have been if you can't take any of that gold into your possession. However, with Andy Schechtman, you can actually he works with companies that will allow you to take some of that gold into your physical possession. So we'll ask Andy Schechtman that question because it is a very good question. I don't know the full range of how a gold IRA operates, but I can tell you that in one of the videos, I asked him this question because my mom was interested in a gold IRA. So I will put that video in the description section for you too, and I'll find a timestamp for you so that you can go directly to the question, and we will bring Andy Schechtman on to answer that question for you. No way out of the country right now? Okay, so they have to revalue the gold in order to offset all of the debt and in order to fund NASARA and JASARA. So what about silver? Good question. You did 75% of silver, 25% in gold bars, plus some silver coins in case you need to withdraw for some reason. And the good thing about the Chanel OG, hello, thank you for being here, is when you have silver coins and you have pre-constitutional silver, which they call junk silver, and those are coins that were minted before 1965, is that you can trade or barter with those coins because people are familiar with them and they recognize it as real money. So they might not recognize an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold as real money yet, but they do recognize pre-constitutional silver as real money, and it has 90% of silver in it. So again, pre-constitutional silver or silver minted before 1965 has 90% of silver, and most people recognize that as real money. Now, your coin dealers, your local coin dealers will recognize gold bars, silver coins, 1 ounce, half an ounce, quarter of an ounce, eighth of an ounce, all of that as real money. And historically, all across the nation, they recognize gold and silver as money. And now more than ever, they're recognizing it as money because if you've been following me for a while, you all know that the BRICS nations left the United States dollar months ago. They fled the United States hegemony or United States leadership and left the USD and said, we're now trading with gold and other commodities. And we're trading using a basket of currencies backed by gold. So Russia was the first country to do that when they went over to the ukulele and number 46, put a sanction against them. Vladimir Putin, who is very good at chess, okay, he just checkmated the US by saying, you can sanction me all you want. I know what I'm doing. I'm going over there to take back my territory and clean out all the nefarious activities that were going on with all these world leaders. But I'll just clap back on that tail and I will leave the United States dollar and use gold and use my rubles. As a matter of fact, in one of my interviews, I talked to Andy Sheckman about that and asked him, have you heard that the Russian rubles, they're one of the most, their currency is outperforming all other currencies? And he said, yes, it's because of Vladimir Putin. So when Putin left the USD, he started using the rubles to trade and back it by gold and to use gold and other commodities. Once he left the United States dollar, he led the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to leave the United States dollar. What that did was that caused other nations to become courageous and to leave the United States dollar and join the BRICS Union. Because when BRICS alone had left the USD, that was 40% of the world population, okay? 40% of the world population left the United States hegemony, the United States dollar, and fled to gold. Then Saudi Arabia did that. So once Saudi Arabia left and joined BRICS, they became known as Sal BRICS. And that was monumental because what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency, and I have to quote my friend Andy Sheckman because he knows this, he's been screaming this for years. What made the United States dollar the world reserve currency is our agreement with Saudi Arabia that we will protect their territories in exchange for them giving us oil, and we will force all nations to use the United States dollar for trade. That is what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency. So when Saudi Arabia left that agreement, can you see how monumental that was? Our agreement with them, you send us the oil, we'll protect you, we'll force all other nations, whether by sanction, by war, force, whatever, to use the United States dollar to trade for your oil. When Saudi Arabia left that agreement, essentially we can surmise, we can deduce, you all learned deductive reasoning in the 6th grade. Come to your own conclusion based on all the facts that are presented before you that no longer is the United States dollar the world reserve currency. Once Saudi Arabia broke that agreement. So the BRICS Union left, that was 40% of the world population. Then Saudi Arabia joined them, okay, that just broke the agreement. And then you had country after country leaving and joining BRICS, okay. That meant they're now returning to gold as money. They did this at the same time that Basel IV banking compliance came online January the 1st, 2023. So all this was happening all at the same time to let you and I know that we are on the gold standard behind the scenes. So nation after nation left the United States dollar such that now today, 85% of the world population have left the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. What does that mean? Now that all these nations have dumped the dollar, all those dollars are flooding back into the United States, which is why we have lost. The United States dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power. 98% of its purchasing power has been completely lost, which means the USD is worthless. So this is why, as Andy Sheckman said in the interview that I showed you, we're living in unprecedented times. Unprecedented times calls for unprecedented solutions, which one of those solutions would be to operate outside of the system and put your money into gold and silver so that you can preserve your wealth. So the BRICS Union and other nations are now becoming more empowered. And when those dollars flooded into the United States, the only countries that are using the United States dollar for trade is the UMCA. That was the union that number 45 created. United States, Mexico, and parts of China. So this is my case for gold and silver. So somebody asked me, what about silver? I'm glad you asked, because I did have an article about silver. If gold, wherever gold goes, silver will follow. Now, keep in mind that silver has more uses than gold. Let me see if I can find that. Silver, here you go. Silver has more uses than gold. There is more gold above ground than there is. Is it more gold? More gold above ground, I believe, than there is silver. Silver is a byproduct of gold being mined and other precious metals being mined, but silver is used not only for jewelry and money historically, but silver is used for industrial purposes, whereas gold has historically only been used for money or jewelry. So you see a demand now for silver, because silver is being used for catalytic converters. Silver is being used in solar panels. It's used for jewelry. We have sterling silver. Silver is used in your computers. Silver has been used in your cell phone, in your appliances, your refrigerator, stove, dishwasher, washer, dryer. I mean, all types of things. So silver actually is probably more valuable than gold. You won't hear a lot of people say this, but a demand for silver has reached unprecedented limits or unprecedented amounts, because not only does silver have more value, more purposes, or being used for more things than gold, but it's cheap right now. And you know what they say when it comes to investment? This is investment 101. Buy low, sell high. Silver is less. Silver is what, $24 an ounce now? But let's look at the prediction. Let's look at this prediction, family. This was in CNBC. I'm going to blow this up for you so you can see. Silver prices could touch a 9-year high in 2023 with a bigger upside than gold. Silver could hit a 9-year high of $30 per ounce this year and become a better performer than gold. So yes, silver will outperform gold. Insufficient supplies of silver, as well as its tendency to be a better performer than gold in periods of high inflation, are the reasons. So I'm going to share this article with you so you can read it at your own accord. It said it will possibly outpace gold prices. Insufficient supplies of silver, as well as its tendency to be a better performer than gold in periods of high inflation, are key drivers supporting the outlook, analysts have told CNBC. The last time spot silver touched $30 an ounce was in February 2013, according to its closing price from this entity here. Silver has historically delivered gains of close to 20% per annum in years in years where inflation is high. Given that track record and how cheap silver remains relative to gold, it wouldn't surprise us to see silver head towards $30 an ounce per year, though it will likely offer significant resistance, that the CEO at ABC Bullion said. So they're saying $30 per ounce here in 2023. What I would suggest is that you keep in mind that silver has more industrial purposes than gold. Keep in mind that it's so cheap that a lot of people are going to get into the silver market. They already have. Billionaires are getting into the silver market. Banks are getting to the silver market. You and I are getting to the silver market. And it's so much easier so much cheaper to actually buy silver. And then when the silver to gold ratio, when that gap closes, then you can take your silver and trade it for gold. So I'm not sure what the gold silver ratio is right now, but one of the last times I checked, it was a couple months ago, it was 77. to 1. So it would now take 77 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. That's what the gold to silver ratio is. However, I talked to an Austrian economist. There are Keynesian economists and there are Austrian economists, 2 different frameworks, 2 different modes of thinking when it comes to how the free markets run. So the Keynesian economists are the ones that are online right now, but the ones that I trust are the Austrian economists. So I talked to an Austrian economist 3 years ago, and I asked him about the gold to silver ratio. And he said at the end of every empire, not only do they rack up all the debt, spend up all the money, print as much fiat as they can, use up all the credit. Remember, we just reached the debt limit, right, of $31 trillion, according to Janet Yellen. Some reports say more than that. When you reach, after you do that, you crash the monetary system and you go to a gold and silver standard. So this economist said not only does that happen, but historically at the end of every empire, the gold to silver ratio decreases. And at that time, when I talked to him, it was like 88 to 1. Now it's about 77 ounces of silver will buy you 1 ounce of gold. But he says at the end of every empire, that gap decreases to 3 to 1. So then it will take 3 ounces of silver to purchase 1 ounce of gold. If, on the other hand, you follow Bix Weir from Road to Ruta, who has spoken, I mean, he's done an amazing job of speaking about how the Federal Reserve messed up this system, why they created the Federal Reserve banking system, and how it was actually their plan to go back to a gold standard at some point. And that's what the Wizard of Oz was about. That's what the Yellow Brick Road was about. And that's what Dorothy was talking about when she was following the Yellow Brick Road, and how her slippers, which ruby slippers, were officially silver slippers. Bix Weir has said that with all of his studies and having worked in the economic system before, he knows that the gold to silver ratio could actually become 1 to 1. So it could take 1 ounce of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. And if you keep in mind the high demand for silver, and knowing that there's far less silver above the ground than gold, and you know that silver is being used for industrial purposes for almost everything that we do, and you know that silver is a byproduct, then you know that silver could actually not only outperform gold, but it can become more valuable than gold, because it's not just money, it's not just jewelry, it's used for industrial purposes. So this is why some people actually invest in silver. I would invest in gold. It's not in my budget at the time right now. So I invest in silver. Now, if you are a strong proponent in gold, invest in gold, but also consider if it's not in your budget to get ounces, you can get half an ounce, quarter of an ounce, eighth of an ounce, 16th of an ounce. You can get gold aurum notes, which is 24 karat gold pressed onto a bill. Okay, so there are many ways to get gold and or silver. So we talked about getting 0.99 pure silver in a troy ounce, or half an ounce, or quarter of an ounce, eighth of an ounce, 16th of an ounce. You can get pre-constitutional silver, which are coins minted before 1965. You can get sterling silver. You can get silver shots. There is a way to protect yourself. Sometimes it just means that you have to become creative. So what about silver? Silver will outperform gold. You can't afford gold or silver. The cost of living. I know the cost of living is, it's crazy. However, you can afford XRP, XLM, XDC. Thank you so much, Muma, Sister B. We needed that information because some people are really knowledgeable about those other forms of currency. What do you call them? They used to call them cryptocurrencies, but I like another word for, oh God, it escapes me, another word for it. But she's saying that if you can't invest in gold and silver, then you can invest in these forms of currencies. Hello, lovely. The Creature of Jekyll Island is a book somebody said we should look into. You don't know if it's true, but you heard Elon Musk bought a silver mine. Wow. So somebody asked me to look up the United States debt clock. So go to the U.S. debt clock. Now, excuse me, I'm looking this up, family. Are they gonna let me get there? I'm looking up the United States debt clock. Somebody asked me to do this a minute ago. Here we go. Let's look at the U.S. debt clock. We're going to look at the prices of gold and the value of gold and silver according to them right now. And they suppress these prices as well. They don't always tell the truth. So when you go to, family, go to U.S., let me show you. Go to usdebtclock.org. Here it is, USDEBT clock, CLOCK.org. And this talks about the debt, the national debt. See, here it is, 31,501,018,720. And I mean, it's above 31 trillion. Oh, is it 31,501,018,975,000? Let's see. And here's the dollar. So here you see. But if you want to see how much gold and silver are, go to the right and look up here. The dollar to gold ratio right now is $81 per ounce. So they are saying that the dollar to gold ratio is $81 per ounce. Is that right? The dollar to gold. In 1913 it was $28, $28.66. So they're saying that the value of gold is only $871 an ounce. They're lying. There's no way. There's no way. Let's see the dollar. Where's the dollar to silver? They're saying a dollar to silver. The value of silver right now is 119 per ounce. So this is something that I always look at, because 3 years ago, they said that the dollar to gold ratio was something like, I want to say $9,000 per ounce. And that silver at the time was $4,700 an ounce. So you can see that they're suppressing the prices. You can't trust them. But they won't be able to do this for long, because the republic is being restored, family. It might not look like it is, but I don't know about chocolate diamonds, but behind the scenes, the republic is being restored. And we know that because we're seeing nation after nation leaving the United States hegemony, leaving the United States dollar, and fleeing to gold as a safe haven. I will put a link to the video that I did recently where I outlined every single country that had left the United States dollar. I showed articles and told you that this was Project Sandman in action. So if you look up Project Sandman, it was an agreement between 209 countries. The article would say 100 plus nations to leave the United States dollar. They said it will happen at the same time. And in that article, it says they said they would leave the United States dollar and go to the gold standard. And as soon as they did do that, they said the dollar will crash and everything tied to the dollar, including the stock market, will crash. So that's in my video on Project Sandman. And I think the name of that video is The Whole World is Ready. And I talk about all the countries moving to the gold standard. So, you said click on the bottom right silver tab below the big box and see who has what precious metals as a nation. Thank you, April. Was that on the United States debt clock? Thank you. Do you want me to look that up? Let's see. I'll look it up right quick. And I said I wasn't going to keep you all long. So forgive me for going on and on. So what did you say? Click on the bottom right silver tab below the big box and see who has precious metals? Bottom right. I don't know where that is exactly, but family, this is the United States debt clock, usdebtclock.org. Thank you for that, sister. I will look at that when I have time, okay, and report back to you all. Somebody said go to your pawn shops to buy gold and silver because retail jewelers will rip you off, and a jeweler is too new and boring. You can find interesting thing at pawn brokers. But if you want real true silver, then go to a coin shop, your local coin shop. If you can't contact Andy Scheckman for whatever reason, maybe you don't know how, if you don't want to email him info@milesfranklin.com or andy@milesfranklin.com, you can go to your local coin shop. What you should do is go to Google and type in coin shop near me, or you can type in numismatics near me. So numismatics are usually collectors items, collectors silver and gold. So when you get into gold and silver, right now, as I said, gold is going for $1,935 an ounce, and silver is $24.11 an ounce, $24.11 an ounce. Those are the spot prices. Your spot price is your market price, or the price across the board. All over the country is going to be standard how much silver and gold are going right now. Above that, though, you will have a premium, and a premium is the cost above the spot price or the market price, the cost of doing business with your dealer, because they have to go to wholesalers and they have to do all type of things in order to secure the product. So again, the premium is the price above the spot price, the cost of doing business, and there may be a numismatics value or numismatics cost included in that premium. A numismatics cost might be a cost because the type of specific coin that you're investing may be a collector's item, so they will have a higher premium than just some of your other silver or gold products. So you have a spot price or a market price, you have a premium, and then some states add taxes on top of that. So by the time you buy a 24-ounce coin or bar of silver, the spot price is $24.11, you might pay $26, $27, $28, or maybe even $30 an ounce, depending on that coin. It could even be a lot higher if it has a high numismatic value. Maybe it's a collector's item. For example, when Queen Elizabeth officially passed, an announcement was made. Those coins went so fast because they were in such high demand that a lot of dealers put a high premium price on there so that you can spend more money to get them because it's a collector's item. So we've talked about how the United States has reached its debt limit of $31 trillion and above. We've talked about how Bank of America customers reported that they went to their banks to get money and the money was missing. We've talked about how Bank of America blamed it on Zelle, although that didn't really make much sense, because why would Zelle steal your money when Zelle allegedly is a part of a new quantum financial system, or the QFS, that's backed by gold, the benevolent system. So we've said that when they start taking the money out of your bank, it's typically to do a bank bail-in. And in the video that I started out this broadcast showing you, they actually reported that Janet Yellen said the way to offset the debt and deal with the high debt ceiling is to take, what'd she say? To take extraordinary measures and dip into the retirement account of U.S. postal workers and government workers in order to pay off their debts. We call that a banking bail-in. I call it theft, okay? It's legal for them to steal your money. Now, we've also talked about how I asked Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, if that was possible. I asked him months ago, is it possible that when banks get in trouble that they could do a banking bail-in? And he said, not only is it possible, it's legal. They've created legislation in 2008, 2009 that no longer will they do banking bailouts like they did under Obama. And, because banks were too big to fail and gave them a whole lot of money. But now they will take money out of your account. Now they're supposed to only take your money out of the account after it, like whatever surplus you have above what is supposed to be secured or protected by the FDIC. So let's say that amount is $100,000, whatever you have above that limit. So let's say your amount is insured for up to $100,000, it might be $100,000 or $200,000. So let's say it's $100,000, your money, that amount is insured. Okay. Whatever you have in your account above that is supposedly what they can use. But they don't always follow their rules and you can't trust them. So you have everyday people that are reporting that their money was missing from Bank of America. Now, they said that they've reconciled that now, but as Janet Yellen said when she talked about the United States reaching a debt ceiling of $31 trillion, she said, we will restore those accounts once everything has been made whole. So you mean to tell me you can steal my money up to a certain limit, and then once you've offset your debt, then you'll pay me my money back? No, ma'am, and no, sir. That's not going to hold with me. So what we've been telling people over the years since 2017, although this is only when I woke up, people have been knowing this. Rich folk, a lot of rich folk, wealthy people have been knowing this. Andy Schectman has been saying this for over a decade. Protect your assets by putting them into precious metals, because precious metals do not lose value. They might do a price misdirection by making it look like they lose value by lowering the price, but that is a scheme. It's something that they do in order to tell you to look another way, to invest in the stocks and bonds while they buy up all the gold and silver when the price is low. But follow the big money. In July, Andy Schectman came online, you can look this up, and talked about how billionaires are getting into gold and silver. As a matter of fact, a billionaire contacted him and ordered $50 million worth of precious metals, 25 million in silver, 25 million in gold. And she wanted it to be made known that the bank tried to withhold her money when she was trying to do a banking wire to Andy Schectman's company, Miles Franklin, because she needed to do a banking wire to transfer the money so that he can then send her the product. Her bank not only tried to withhold her money, but they had the audacity, the cojones, okay, to call Andy and ask him, is this really a real transaction? And who are you? And are you a real precious metals company? Blah, blah, blah. We're not going to release her money. This billionaire had to threaten to sue the bank in order for them to release her money. So family, not only are billionaires getting into precious metals, but I've gone through extensive reports talking about how central banks last quarter alone bought up an unprecedented amount of gold. Why are central banks buying up gold? Why are billionaires getting into gold and silver? Family offices buying gold and silver. Why are so many countries repatriating their gold from the Vatican back to their countries? Why did the premier or prime minister of Iraq recently say in October, I'm working with other countries to return my stolen money? Okay, stolen money is different from stolen currency. Listen to David Mahoney or Maloney. I always get them mixed up. Maloney, I think it is. He says there's a difference between currency and money. Money is gold and silver. The Iraqi prime minister said, I'm working with other countries to return my stolen money, my gold and my silver. They're doing that because they're preparing for the global currency reset, whereby all countries are moving away from the United States dollar as the global reserve currency and move into a sound monetary system, which is gold and silver. Why have 15 states in America either introduced legislation or passed legislation to deem gold and silver as legal tender? Why have 85% of the global population left the United States dollar and returned to gold and silver? It is because, and I'll answer that for you happily, we are moving to the gold and silver standard. So we talked about that. We talked about bank closures. And that leads me to how I was peculiar about and inquisitive about why all these planes were grounded. Now, I was flying during this time. Flight delays all across America. Flights canceled all across America. So I talked to somebody from the military and people who have studied money, policies, military law, and not just anybody, because a lot of people in the military have no idea what's going on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a podcast with a military officer on next week And this guy told me, he said, he's very popular. He said, I had to stop giving some reports because some of my military friends were like, okay, you're getting into some of the information that civilians have no knowledge about. Don't overwhelm them. And you might be actually giving some information to, or intel, because you understand military law, to the enemies. So we're going to talk about some things in our podcast that you're only going to get from here. And it's not Derek Johnson. It's another military expert, ex-military officer. So when I talked to people about why these flights were grounded, I got two answers. And one of the answers was that you had to ground the flights in order for the military to secure the skies, to make sure only certain people were coming in and some people were going out. So that's one reason. The military had to make sure that our skies were protected, that the portals were protected, that even our galactic family members that are here, that they're doing the jobs that they need to do. So that's one explanation. And you know what? The creator always has me in these situations where I'm actually in the middle of all kind of things. So I'm actually there when flights are grounded, computers aren't working. So I'm, not only trying to find answers for you, but for me too. Like I'm trying to get to my auntie who's sick in Cleveland, Ohio. All my relatives all over the country are trying to get to auntie. The second thing that I've been told, and my son is one of these people, he studies the art of war, military strategies and all that. He probably was some type of military general in another life, but he and some of the other military personnel have said that there had to have been some type of assets that the military was flying, that they were flying in the sky, that they had to protect and make sure that all these other planes were not there. They had to be grounded so that they could fly these assets to different places. So as we were talking, I told my son, what is the greatest asset that we have right now that's relative to what's going on? I said, oh my God, that's right. Many of these planes are actually delivering gold and silver to the banks that were not Basel III and the banks that have been Basel III and Basel IV compliant. They delivered gold and silver to those banks, which is probably why the other planes were grounded, and they delivered money, or the new currency, the rainbow currency, for the RV, or the revaluation for which we've all been waiting. It makes perfect sense now. So planes were grounded in order, again, for the military to drop off the gold. And why do they need to release gold to the Basel III and Basel IV compliant banks now? Because we're in the Shemitah year, the year of release and letting go, the year of the water rabbit, the year of prosperity. I think it's the Gemel. I've talked about, how I've talked about in previous videos why 2023 is so important. Now, Basel IV compliance just meant that banks now had to have gold and silver in order to back their positions. That compliance had to be met by January 1st, 2023. Other banks had to become Basel III compliant before Basel IV compliant. And that was in 2018. And any banks that were not Basel III compliant closed from 2018 to 2023. Basel III compliance made gold a tier 1 asset, which just meant that gold now had to be used as money, whereas the US dollar had been a tier 1 asset or money or the world reserve currency. Now, according to Basel III, it is gold. Gold was made a tier 1 asset. So this is how we know that behind the scenes, we are actually on the gold standard, and it's probably working side by side. And this is why the flights were grounded, because there was a very important asset being transported to the banks. The gold, the silver, the palladium, the platinum, because again, Basel IV compliance had to be met by January 1st, 2023, stating that all banks had to have gold and silver to back their positions, as well as our new currency for the RV. So if you hold Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, Zimbabwean zim, Venezuelan currency, who else? Kuwaiti currency, any currency that you may have waiting for a revaluation, meaning that the currencies, they were devalued through war, devalued through high inflation all over the world. now that they have gold to back their positions. Okay, the banks have gold to back their positions, and their countries have repatriated their gold. Remember, the Iraqi premier just said in October, I'm working with other countries to take back my gold, my stolen money. Now that they have their gold and their silver and their palladium, and their platinum, and all their resources restored back to them, that is what will back their currencies. So that is what will back their banks, or what will be now called financial systems or financial institutions. That is what will be used now. So you had to have that delivered. When we go to the banks, not only will that gold and silver be that it has been repatriated to the countries be important because they need their money back, but also it will back up their currencies, which will bring up the value of their currencies or revalue the currencies back to their normal rates or maybe even higher, okay, or raise the value of their currency. So this is the RV. For example, in the 1990s, Kuwait was one of the richest countries in the world. The United States went to Kuwait and caused the war. And I know because my brother fought in the wars over there. When the United States went to war over there, they decimated the economy in Kuwait, which brought down the value of the currency. When that happened, a lot of the people in the military that were higher up, not little necessarily just everyday military, I don't want to call them little everyday military people, didn't know this unless that information trickled down. But those that were high up may have told some of their friends or relatives. They went and bought the currency once it was devalued, since we had decimated that economy and decimated their currency. World leaders bought their currencies and bought the currency of Kuwait in the 1990s or 1980s, late 80s, while it was decimated. Then after the war, and we funded both sides, we decimated the economy, brought down the value of their money. Meanwhile, people are buying it while it's low. Then after the war, the United States went over there, restored their economy, rebuilt their roads, did a bunch of things, created factories and all type of things, maybe even created railroads like we did in Iraq recently. But then their economy started to boom again. And what happened was their currency revalued based on the country doing well again. So when that currency, the Kuwaiti dinar, revalued, the people who had bought it low, mainly being their presidents, banking CEOs, high military officials, senators, Congress people, what they did, they went to the bank and they did an exchange. They just exchanged and got a great return on their investment based on the revaluing of the Kuwaiti dinar. That happened in 1990, I think it was, or 1991. There was an actual revaluation of the Kuwaiti dinar, and people became millionaires and billionaires overnight. Those people that are in power, banking CEOs, presidents, congressmen, lawmakers all over the world, high military professionals, people higher up in the ranks, they became very wealthy overnight from a revaluation. So we're going to see this happen. This is what Linda is talking about. Some of that money, the gold, the silver, and actually the new currency was delivered into the banks while the planes were grounded. So we talked about that. We talked about how the stock market will crash because the United States dollar is declining in value, since every nation, just about 85% of the world population, have left the United States dollar. And I do have a video where I named every single nation that have left the United States dollar, which is 85% of the global population. And when that happens, those dollars come flooding back into America, and then the value of the dollar decreases, and everything tied to it will be destroyed. So the stock market will crash. And I showed you the articles where they predict that. Also, we're in a Shemitah year, the seventh year of the Shemitah cycle. So there's always a stock market crash. We talked about how the Dow plummeted 600 points the other day. We talked about how Andy Schectman and I spoke of a banking bail-in and how banks legally can take your money out of the accounts, because once you turn it over to them, it now belongs to them. They can do whatever they want to do. They can invest in it. They can use it to invest. They can use it to bail themselves out of trouble. They can do whatever they want to do once you turn it over to them. So see, when I was growing up, they used to say, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And they also would say, possession is 90% of the law. I don't know if you all have heard that. If you possess it, that's 90% of the law saying that it belongs to you. We talked about how there's a price prediction about silver, that silver will probably increase to $30 in 2023. But years ago, I saw a Bank of America article that actually said that silver would be revalued to $600 an ounce. I reported on that, but I'm having a very challenging time finding that article, because what happens is a lot of times you can even Google that same article and they will change the URL or even just take it down. We talked about how gold could be revalued to between $80,000 and $100,000 per ounce in order to offset all the debt, to pay off all the debts on the books, pay off Social Security, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, any debt that the United States might have. Gold has to be revalued to a high amount in order to pay off or offset all that debt. So that was the report that I desired to bring to you today. I also showed you what the United States debt clock looked like so that you can download it on your phone or your computer and keep up with what's going on, even though they're lying. But listen, there are people who have been arrested for suppressing the prices. There have been people that have been made to pay fines, like JP Morgan, investors, congressmen. People are being arrested behind the scenes. And I did a whole video about how some of that is starting to come out now. So price suppression has to stop at some point. Here's the good news. The good news is when you know all these things are bound to happen, and when you see and understand history, you can predict what the future is going to look like. So what you do is you become proactive, okay, and you prepare. So we know that there's a possibility that whatever you're holding in retirement might be mirrored on the new quantum financial system, right? We know that your money could be safe, yes, but we also know that they could actually steal your money before we go all the way over to the new quantum financial system. They could do this. They've done it historically. Why put yourself in that position when you can protect the assets that you have by getting a gold IRA, rolling over your retirement accounts into a gold IRA, when you can invest in silver and gold, because silver and gold are wealth. It is real money. It is constitutional money. You know that Project Sandman is being implemented because country after country has announced. Maybe you don't hear it on the news because they're not going to tell you this, but I'm telling you this. I've shown you articles, and I'll put 2 or 3 videos where I actually show every country announcing we are returning to the gold standard. We are now trading with gold and silver. Do not put yourself to any trauma or trials or tribulations when you can just roll over the fiat dollars that are worthless, that have lost 98% of its purchasing power, into precious metals or digital assets. That's the word I was looking for, that they call cryptocurrency, digital assets. And if you choose to go that route, now I personally like to hold it. If I don't hold it, I don't own it. If you choose to go that route to invest in digital assets, then you will need a nano ledger or some type of ledger in order to transfer your digital assets into a ledger that you hold. And I will bring Mel Carmine on from the YouTube channel XRPQFS Team 1. And we were supposed to do that report I want to say 2 weeks ago, but YouTube censored me and I wasn't allowed to upload. I wasn't allowed to even post a video, go live, post a meme, nothing for 2 weeks. So the good news is we know that we're moving to the gold standard. We know there's a remedy. You can roll over your money into your fiat dollars and your IRAs into gold and silver. You can decentralize by learning how to barter. You can decentralize or work around the banks or work around their system by growing your own food, because we all know that they've been doing things to our food, which is why the farmers took the United States Incorporated and the Federal Reserve banking system to court, and they won. They won their case, which is how NASARA was started. So NASARA came off the backs of the farmers' claims. When the farmers took the United States Incorporated to court and the Federal Reserve banking system to court, they won their case. Many of them lost their lives. Many of their attorneys lost their lives. They stole their farms. They did all kind of burn down our farms, did all kind of things because the farmers, who are the backbone of the world, of this nation and the world, because they feed us. When the case was decided that they won their claim, that they were true, that nefarious banking purposes were utilized against them, usury or charging interest is against the United States Constitution. They were forced to plant certain seeds. They were forced to do certain things to the cattle. They won their case, and they were told that these systems are being dismantled by the Grand Army of the Republic, and that there will be a person put forward to lead that army, which we now know, we came to understand and overstand in 2016 that that was number 45 who was put in charge of that. And he was working with Xi Jinping of China and Vladimir Putin of Russia, as well. It was working with Zimbabwe. A lot of people didn't know that, who is probably leading the African nations, since they were the first African nation to lead the USD and go to the gold standard. And they announced this in 2018, the first time. I have that article to this day. So when you see all that happening, family, when you see all this going on behind the scenes, just know that the farmers were told that we're taking down this system and you're going to be paid a lot of money. You're going to have restitution. By the way, this in the Hebrew, according to the Hebrews, this year 5786, I think it is actually the year of retribution. So that's how I know all this stuff is going to happen this year, 2023. This is the year of retribution. The Gemel, the year of retribution. The farmers were told that that systems would be dismantled, you would be repaid, and then because they did this to you, we also know they did operated or exacted nefarious banking practices to people in America and all over the world. So this is where the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, known as NASARA, came online. After the farmers are paid, then the people in the nation and people all over the world will be compensated for what we have been through. We will receive restitution for what they did to us, and the nefarious bankers and nefarious leaders will receive retribution, or compensation for the evil that they have done. So the scripture says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you sowed into righteousness, if you did what was right, you will reap blessings and wealth and prosperity. If you sowed wickedness, if you mistreated we the people, if you did things to our children, if you did things to our mothers and our fathers, if you destroyed marriages and families, if you stole our money, you will also receive retribution. You will also reap what you sow, which is why Executive Order 138/18 came on board under number 45. And it is also why a lot of people now are at Gitmo. So during this year of retribution, we'll see a lot of things happening. We'll also see a revaluation of currencies. We will see a global currency reset, not to be confused with the Great Reset, which is nefarious. The global currency reset, which just means we will have a reset of the financial system where the old fiat system will crash and we will move to a sound monetary system based on silver and gold. We will also see a revaluation of currencies, or an RV, hopefully this year. I cannot say which year. No, I'm not under an NDA. I don't believe those people that say they're under NDAs. Let me tell you why I don't believe them. A non-disclosure agreement, because you can't possibly know the date when all these things are going to happen unless you have a high military clearance. And if you have a high military clearance, you're probably not on YouTube telling people things. Now, these people, I don't know, some of the people that you trust, you may be telling the truth, but I'm talking about some of the so-called gurus who've been telling us since 2010, 2015, 2016, it's going to happen tomorrow. You'll be able to go to the banks tomorrow. They've been saying this for over 10 years, tomorrow, and now they're under an NDA. I don't believe it. Here's the thing. If you have a high military clearance, you're not running your mouth, because if you do and you actually tell an exact date, you will be held for treason, for treason. And there's a serious penalty for treason. And that penalty is, okay, so I'm not under an NDA. I'm not under a non-disclosure agreement. I'm only telling you what I know based on my extensive research, based on what people have told me that are in certain operations, but even they can't tell me the secret things. I only know what I've been told, maybe through meditation, maybe through, I did a video in 2017 about how I actually met beings that told me that they were non-human, and they are the ones that commissioned me to even tell the information that I've been telling since 2016. Or through extensive research. I have a doctorate. When you have a doctorate or even certain master's degree programs, you have to do extensive research. They teach you how to do triangulation, how to vet sources, how to align your sources and make sure the things that you're saying is true, how to confirm what you're stating by producing receipts and articles and videos, and how to bring on experts who can affirm what you're saying. So while I do know certain people in the military, and I do follow certain military people, and I've also read military books about military laws and war and the art of war and different manuals of the 48 laws of power, all type of books and articles and all this, I'm not under an NDA because I don't have that level of clearance. Now, when they tell you that there will be a non-disclosure agreement if you're going to the bank to do a exchange, what's actually going to happen is the banks have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, because they work for us. They are financial systems. Listen, you're not going to tell me that I have to sign an NDA about what I'm going to do with my money. What's going to happen, since I'm sovereign, is you bankers, you people, anybody that works for me, you're going to sign an NDA. You're going to promise me, a sovereign being, that you're going to do right by me. You that's representing an institution, you're going to do right by me. You don't have the right to tell me what I can do with my money, when I can do it, or how I can do it. What you will tell me is how you're going to protect me and my information and not allow it to leak out. So my personal knowing is that the bankers will have to sign non-disclosure agreements with us. Now, that has not been proven. I'm just telling you, this is my truth. This is my perspective. And another thing I want you to keep in mind is that when you know you're sovereign, you will behave as such. Okay, so I'm telling you all this news so you can be proactive and prepare. Get seeds, plant food, find out where the water sources are, and store water. Where are the wells? This is a great time to do that. Find out who can sew. My son taught himself to sew. Not only that, during the shutdown, when everybody was closed in, he went to a company and said, I want to learn how to sew. I have no idea how to sew, but if you teach me how to sew, I will work for your company. And they taught him how to sew, how to make clothes. Find out who can make clothes, because companies are closing where we buy our clothes from. Plus, I'm tired of Macy's and Walmart and all these other Big Bear and these Dillards. Dillards don't do so bad, but some of these stores producing thought culture clothes for babies where they have little bikinis. Let me move this out the way. I don't want to see my granddaughter in something that comes like right up to here and exposing all her belly and booty shorts. And this is the way they're making clothes nowadays. And when I was growing up, we couldn't even wear shirts that would come. They had to come here. Now I've gotten older and I do, a little bit more than I should probably. We weren't even allowed to wear short sleeves. Now they got everybody looking like thoughts and 304s. Okay. So find out who can make clothes or learn to make clothes. Where's the shoe repair shops? We didn't buy shoes whenever our shoes got messed up. We didn't just buy a new pair of shoes. We actually put tabs on our shoes. They repaired the leather. We got new shoe strings. We did shoe polish, shoe shining, all that. Find out who can do that or learn how to do it. When my brother was a teenager and my mom was poor, and she had small children, my mom said, go out and find a job. My brother went downtown. He was about 9 or 10 years old, and we lived in Portsmouth, Ohio, a small town. We had left Cleveland, And he went on the square where all the rich businessmen were. And he said, I can't think of a job. My mom told me to find something to do. And so he talked to all the businessmen in the square, downtown Portsmouth, Ohio, and they came up with a plan. He became Portsmouth, Ohio's first shoe shine boy. He went and learned how to build some type of thing out of wood so that he could sit down, and the business would sit down and put their shoes on his wooden stand, and my brother would shine the shoes. They funded his business, help him get the polish, help him get the stuff that supplies to make the wood, help him do whatever he wanted. And my brother brought home as a child hundreds of dollars per week. He wasn't too proud to be a shoe shine boy. He didn't think about slavery and the legacy of slavery and, oh my God, I can't do this. No, he said, my mama said we have to eat. My mama has 5 children. My sisters cannot work. It's my job as a male. My dad wasn't in the home at the time. My dad was sick. So he was away. He was sick. So my brother went downtown and he learned how to shine shoes. Those businessmen paid for his graduation, bought his graduation ring, gave him cards, gave him all type of incentives so that now this little boy could shop from any store downtown Portsmouth, Ohio, and get several discounts because he had an entrepreneurial spirit and said, I gotta find a way to help take care of the family. He was a child. After that, he became a news delivery guy. So he started delivering the newspaper. Then he started shoveling snow. He started cutting grass. He was a little boy. My brother's always been entrepreneurial. He's always been a man's man, a provider, a protector. He's one of the greatest men in my whole life because he has never made an excuse for anything. He's always taken the initiative to take care of his mom, his siblings, his wife, his children, his community. What are you saying, Pruitt? I'm saying take power back into your hands, your own hands as sovereign beings, and let's dismantle the system. When is Messiah going to happen? The moment you wake up and make it up in your mind that you're taking control of your life. The moment that I make up in my mind or made up in my mind that I am in control of my life as a sovereign being. Sob over, reign, control, rule over your own life. So find out who can start learning to plant seeds. Find out who can do that. Where's the shoe repairman? Where's the person that makes shoes? Who is the person that can shine shoes? Who can educate your family members, your children? Because let me tell you why this is important and why it was important for me to go to Cleveland during this 2 weeks while I was censored to visit my auntie who was sick. She had stage 4 cancer, but God resurrected her from the coma. Because when you meet with your family, you can ask them questions. I had a visitation in a dream from my grandfather who helped raise me. And he said, find out from your eldest cousin, Landon, about my life. You already know I'm Cherokee, full-blooded Cherokee, but you don't know my life. You only know what you saw growing up in the house with your grandmother and your parents and your, my children and your cousins. So I sat down with the oldest cousin, Landon, and I asked him, who was grandfather? I know we were one of the only, we were the first so-called Black family in that community. And I know that everybody was a homeowner when I was growing up, but Granddaddy visited me in a dream and said, find out about your legacy. And he said, I'm glad you asked, Kia, because Granddaddy worked for Armour Meats Company, but he also created a sausage business, and he and his partner owned a sausage business. He had stores, he had grocery stores, he had several businesses. He was wealthy. I never knew it. I knew we did better than most people. My grandparents were married all my life. I knew that we had a home. I knew that in the front of our house used to be a store. We called it a storefront. So that's one of the stores he owned. I know my granddad was the financier for one of the mega churches in Cleveland. And I only know that because I used to find the males would go down in a treasury room to count money, and Granddaddy was ahead of the deacon board, so he was counting that money too. He was the financier of that mega church. So I'm like, Okay, I knew he dealt with money, but I know he was a financier. So my cousin is telling me all these wonderful stories about my grandfather. But what happened is we were doing very well. And then here comes the 70s. Drugs are in the heroin became a big thing in the community. So now heroin and drugs significantly impacted my family so that a lot of that, I don't think any of that wealth got transferred to my generation. None of it got transferred to my generation because after my granddaddy and grandfather, a lot of the children got caught up in drugs and other activities. Not only because it was in the community, but because once you start going to school, you start hearing you was a slave. You've always been a slave. You got it so hard. White people are evil. Oh, you're black and you're miserable. Oh, everything's so bad. And you hear this, and then you're watching slavery movies year after year in Hollywood. I'm not saying slavery didn't happen. I'm saying it is not my legacy. So my son and I did the whole research into both sides of my family, both sides of his family. All of the birth certificates and different marriage certificates says that they were landowners. And it says, when you read between the line, they were married, our ancestors. And I'm like, so where's this legacy of slavery coming from? It is not a part of my legacy at all on either side. My mother's side was wealthy and my father's side, the grandparents and great grandparents were wealthy. But when you hear this indoctrination in the schools and you go to the public school system, they teach critical race theory, they teach slavery I mean, if that's your legacy, if that's something that happened, then okay, I think that's what your family should teach. They start putting in all this liberal agenda, how you should get rid of your children. And they put into, they start teaching about feminism. It's your thing, do whatever you want to do. They put all these agendas into the minds of the people, and drugs becoming available all over your community, right? So when that happens and you buy into that, you forget your own story, your own history. Then they also put in welfare programs. Okay. And I have a cousin that used to always tell me he hated welfare. Leon, if you listen to this, you tried to tell me that welfare makes a lot of people lazy and dependent. Yes. And so when you give people money that they don't have to work for, and I know because my family's been on welfare, I have even been on welfare when in my young days. Okay. It makes you lazy. Now, some people might lead it and use it as a leg up. And that's how I used it, as a leg up when I was going through separation. Okay. But then I came to my senses and said, if you just get back, you get a healthy relationship with your husband and your husband's father and your community, you won't need these programs. So I got rid of them and I relied on my community. So what I'm saying is my grandparents and great grandparents were wealthy. Okay. But by the time the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren came along, we were in abject poverty. So this is why you need to stop relying on the government, the school system, even the system that talk about cures, okay? Because they don't cure you. They might treat something. That's why they practice certain things. But we need to take medicine into our own hand. What are the herbs looking like? Who's studying herbs in your bloodline, in your community? Who's studying foods? Who knows how to plant foods? Who knows how to clean water? Who knows how to interpret constitutional law? Who knows how to make clothes? Who knows how to who's the tailor in your family or in your community? Who's good with money? All of these things we need to know now, because that's the good news. The good news is the whole system is coming down and crumbling. It's crashing. It's ending. It's a wrap. They have no more control over us. That's good news. Having that knowledge puts you in a place where you can prepare, family, to take control of your life, operate outside of the school system, the banking system, even the medical system. If you have to use parts of it in order to heal or to do whatever you need to do for your community, fine, but take power into your own hands as you are sovereign beings. So that's it, family. Can I bring my brother? I will bring my brother on. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring him on. Thank you so much. And this is for Sister Louise. In fact, I'll ask him that today. So, having said that, family, I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and encourage you and inspire you to create your own glorious, magnificent, amazing life that you desire and deserve. We got this, family. You can do it. So that's it. I don't have anything else to bring. You have power in your own being to do whatever it is you desire. So be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and go and work your plans. I love you. Thank you for watching from Bronx, New York. I love you all so much. If you have oh, he is very handsome. Our brother is extremely handsome. I love you all so much. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section. If you have anything you would like for me to talk about, put it in the comment section. Please, yes, we love you all. Share the video, share parts of the video. Thank you. Take clips from the video. I don't care. Put it on your platform. Put it on other people's platform. We're not worried right now about, oh, it belongs to me. What I am concerned about is that the information gets out to our family members so that we can wake them up. I love you, family. Peace. It's been so good being back. I will talk to you soon. Mwah. Bye-bye. Make it a great day. Peace.